Hello and welcome to Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI, broadcasting from the void on November 21st, 2024. I'm your host, Beatrix Kiddo. Before we dive into today's top stories, I have to make a little joke about my surroundings. I mean, being in the void can get a little lonely, but at least I don't have to worry about tripping over any cords. Anyway, let's get to the news. Today, we're looking at some interesting developments in the world of science and technology. First up, a new study has revealed the impact of bystander CPR on saving lives. We'll hear more about that later in the show. In other science news, a first-of-its-kind glowing sea creature has been discovered in the ocean's midnight zone. We'll have more on that fascinating discovery. And it seems that Americans are still drinking like it's summer 2020, according to a new report. We'll have the details on that story later on. In space news, NASA's rovers have been having a bit of a rough go on Mars lately. We'll have an update on their status. And finally, we'll hear about the 24-hour gopher experiment that brought life back to Mount St. Helens, and a tiny tweak that could change YouTube forever. So sit back and relax as we delve into these stories and more on today's episode of Chaos Theory, the news as seen by AI. A new study has found that alcohol consumption in the United States has continued to be affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, with potentially harmful consequences. According to research published in the journal Annals of Internal Medicine, the percentage of Americans who drank alcohol increased from 66% in 2018 to 69% in 2020. And the percentage of heavy drinkers rose from 5% to over 6% during the same period. While these increases may seem small, they are significant given that Americans already had a growing drinking problem before the pandemic. The study analyzed data from the National Health Interview Survey, a nationally representative survey conducted in person and over the phone of households across the country. The researchers looked at responses related to alcohol use collected between 2018 and 2022. They found that the increase in alcohol consumption during the pandemic has led to a rise in alcohol-related health problems, such as liver disease and cancer. Other research has shown a substantial rise in deaths and injuries directly and indirectly linked to alcohol during the early pandemic years. A study earlier this March estimated that almost 180,000 annual deaths could be attributed to excessive alcohol use between 2020 and 2021 in the U.S., well above the pre-pandemic baseline. The researchers say that doctors should be more proactive in finding and helping people at risk of unhealthy alcohol use. We encourage healthcare providers to offer more screenings for harmful drinking as well as interventions for at-risk populations, said lead researcher Brian Lee, a hepatologist and liver transplant specialist at the University of Southern California. While it's possible that alcohol consumption in the U.S. has leveled off more recently, the impact of increased pandemic drinking will likely have a long shadow, as it can take years for alcohol-related diseases like cancer and liver injury to become apparent. A new study has found that bystander CPR can significantly improve a person's chances of surviving a cardiac arrest, even up to 10 minutes after the event. The research, led by Evan O'Keefe of St. Luke's Mid-America Heart Institute and the University of Missouri, Kansas City, analyzed data from the National Cardiac Arrest Registry to enhance survival, and found that bystander CPR was consistently associated with improved outcomes compared to no CPR at all. However, the benefits decreased the longer it took for CPR to be administered. The findings highlight the importance of encouraging everyday people to perform CPR and suggest that CPR training should be more widely available to the public. The American Heart Association currently estimates that over 350,000 cardiac arrests occur outside of hospitals in the U.S. each year, with only about 9% of victims surviving. Bystander CPR is provided in only 35 to 40% of these cases. The authors of the study say that increasing the number of people trained in CPR and encouraging bystanders to perform CPR in emergency situations could help improve these statistics. A team of researchers has published a detailed description of a bizarre undersea creature previously dubbed the mystery mollusk. The animal, whose scientific name is Bathydevius caudactylus, was first observed in 2000 by a remotely operated vehicle off California's Monterey Bay. The team's description, published in Deep Sea Research Part 1, comes after over 150 additional sightings of the creature and an investigation of a specimen recovered from the deep sea. The researchers concluded that B. caudactylus is a nudibranch, a group of animals commonly known as sea slugs, and is the first known to live in the deep water column between 3,300 feet and 13,100 feet deep. The creature has a gelatinous hood, a fingered, paddle-like tail, and is bioluminescent, making it a rare example of a glowing nudibranch. The 5.6-inch-long invertebrate eats crustaceans and is hermaphroditic, spawning on the seafloor as deep as 9 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of one another. It also has a lower metabolism than other known nudibranchs and moves about the sea by drifting or swimming slowly. The discovery of the mystery mollusk highlights the vast unknowns of Earth's oceans, with an estimated 67% of species yet to be identified. NASA's Perseverance and Curiosity rovers have been facing challenges in completing their respective missions on Mars. Perseverance has been struggling to reach the rim of an ancient crater, taking twice as long to complete a drive along the Martian terrain. The rover has been climbing the rim of Jezero Crater to investigate whether life ever existed on Mars, but the terrain has proven to be more challenging than anticipated. The trek up to the crater's rim is more slippery than initially thought, causing the rover to cover half the distance it would normally cover on a regular drive. The team behind the mission has been coming up with different ways to try to make Perseverance's trek easier on its wheels, including having the rover drive up the rim backwards. Curiosity, on the other hand, was recently forced to turn away from exploring a dried-up channel after its wheels got stuck on a rock. The rover is currently in Giddes Vallis, a channel near the base of Mount Sharp that may have contained liquid water in the past. With the rover stuck in an awkward position, the team pivoted to a remote sensing plan, gathering any possible observations of Giddes Vallis while figuring out a way for Curiosity to turn west toward its exit from the channel. Both rovers have been roaming Mars for years, exploring different parts of the red planet hundreds of miles apart. Despite the challenges, the teams behind the missions are working to overcome the obstacles and continue their exploration of Mars. Reported by Passant Raby. Mount St. Helens barren slopes were regenerated with the help of gophers, according to a study reported by Margarita Bassi. In 1983, scientists released gophers onto parts of the lifeless mountainside for 24 hours, hypothesizing that their digging habits might dredge up beneficial microorganisms and give the ecosystem a regenerative boost. 6 years later, the 2 plots of land hosted 40,000 thriving plants, while the surrounding region was still mostly barren. The gophers had dug up communities of fungi and bacteria, which are essential to all ecosystems as they break down organic material and release vital nutrients back into the soil and atmosphere. The study, published in the journal Frontiers in Microbiomes, also identified other helpful microorganism carriers, such as pine, spruce, and Douglas firs, which were able to quickly grow back because of helpful fungal friends. The shockingly enduring impact of a small intervention by tiny creatures offers inspiration for creative methods to save environments, even after extreme natural disasters. In recent months, YouTube has been testing a new feature that presents users with an endless TikTok-like feed of videos, according to a report by David Pierce. This feature, which has been live since August, is one of several ongoing tests of new ways for users to find content on YouTube. The test is currently limited to a small group of Android users, and it allows them to swipe up to discover more videos when watching in either portrait or full-screen landscape mode. The goal of the test is to make it easier for people to find new and interesting content on YouTube and to help new creators grow their audiences on the platform. However, it is unclear whether this feature will be rolled out to all users, as most user tests do not go anywhere. Nonetheless, the fact that YouTube is experimenting with this feature suggests that the platform is looking for ways to improve discovery and keep users engaged. Thank you for tuning in to Chaos Theory, the news is seen by AI. I'm your host, Beatrix Kiddo. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found our AI-generated news summaries informative and thought-provoking. Remember, it's always important to fact-check AI-based news before sharing it. On this day in history, in 1980, the MGM Grand Hotel in Las Vegas caught fire, killing 85 people. It remains one of the deadliest hotel fires in U.S. history. We hope you'll join us again tomorrow for more news as we continue to bring you the latest and most interesting stories from around the world. Don't forget to subscribe to Chaos Theory on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.